Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to pray and do what we do. Most High, we thank you for your benevolence. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for all that you do for us day to day. We ask that you would cleanse our hearts, minds, and souls of anything that's not like you. We ask that you would put us on the correct path of righteousness, lead and guide us in all our ways. Thank you for who you are and what you've been to us. Thank you for all the things that you're bringing our way. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear. Help us to be vigilant and obedient to your voice and move when you say move. Help us to be molded and made back into the image that you have originally created us in the likeness of your glory. Please forgive us of all of our sins and transgressions and trespasses, not only our sins and transgressions and trespasses, but those of our forefathers. Help us to walk in righteousness and live and be the embodiment of your word and of your spirit and of your glory. Help us to be humble in our minds and in our hearts and to do things according to your will. All this I ask by the authority of the Lamb. Hallelujah, so it shall be. Okay, so we talked about the priestly order of Melchizedek, and I know you're like, this is God, we really ain't talked about Melchizedek yet, but I'm laying the foundation. All right, so we kind of talked about how Adam becomes a priest when he's offering, the sacrifice of his own self in order to try to make an atonement, but at the same time, his blood is corrupted because he's sinful. So at the same time, too, we're going to keep going, and I'm going to explain some stuff as we go. We talked about what morals are, what a conscience is, his ability to judge, the moral, the standard by which you judge, and all that good stuff. All of the things that you need in order to rule as a king and in dominion. All right, let's keep going. So to understand Adam better, we need to understand two things. We need to understand the structure of the angels. Specifically, we're just talking about the cherubim, and then the structure of man. So we can kind of understand why this whole Melchizedek thing is so important. Okay, so Second Enoch 29, 1 through 2. For all the heavenly soldiers, I made them the image and essence of fire, and my eye looked at the very hard, firm rock, and from the gleam of my eye the lightning received its wonderful nature, which is both fire in water and water in fire, and does not put out the other, nor does one dry up the other. Therefore the lightning is brighter than the sun, and softer than the water, and firmer than hard rock. And from the rock I cut off a great age, and from the fire I created orders of incorporeal 10 troops of angels, and their weapons are fiery, and their raiment a burning flame, and I commanded that each one should stand in his order. Okay, so we read this on day 2. Then after that is the rebellion, right? It's just this specific class of angels that it was talking about as part of the rebellion. I'm not saying that there weren't others, but we know that the main culprits came out of this class of angels. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't say anything about their image being made in the image of the Father. It says their image, in essence, was made of fire. And I think when I originally taught this, I said that, they were made of fire and water. But what the Father led me to understand later, it's they are made of fire, but they are inside of water, because we know that there is water above the firmament. But their fire doesn't put out the water, and their water doesn't put out the water around them, doesn't put out their fire. They're fire beings that exist inside of water. That's pretty much what it's saying. Okay. And we're going to look at Psalms 104:4, who maketh the angels, his angels spirits, and then his ministers, this specific class, of flaming fire. And then Matthew 28:3, and his countenance was like lightning, and his raiment was white as snow. And if you do any study on fire, there's a white fire as well that burns white. But his countenance was like lightning. And then we're going to keep going from here. Okay, we're going to jump back here to Kevin 100 concerning the angels who rebelled. Okay, so it says, the merciful one, the lover of mercy, answered them on behalf of Adam. So it was when the fallen came and they had an issue with the Most High regarding Adam, and said unto them, you have I created out of fire and air with one intent, that ye should praise me. Him have I created of twice as many elements as you, of dust and water, of wind and fire, and he became a being of flesh and blood. And in him are 10 thoughts or intentions, 5 good and 5 bad. And if his heart inciteth him to good, he walketh in good intent. And if the devil seduceth him, and he walketh with him on an evil path, as for you, walk with him on an evil path. As for you, ye have no other object in your minds but to praise me, with the exception of that arrogant one who produced evil and became an evil being and was driven forth from your assembly. And now, why do you magnify yourselves over Adam? And if ye were as he is, as I had created you of water and dust, ye would have been flesh and blood. You would have transgressed my commandment more than he hath done, and denied my word. And the angel said to him, Praise be unto thee, O master, for far be it from us that we will not transgress thy commandment, and we will not oppose thy word. For we are spiritual beings for life, and he is a creature of dust, doomed to folly, excuse me. And now try us well, and put us to the test, that thou mayest know whether we are able to keep thy word. Okay, so right here, he's saying that the angels are made of fire and air. And remember, when we discussed air previously, air is a liquid. It says air, the fluid. This is from the 1828 dictionary. The fluid which we breathe air is inodorous, meaning it has no odor. It's invisible. It's insipid, colorless, elastic, possessed of gravity, easily moved, rarefied, and condensed. But the main point is air is a type of liquid, but it's invisible and it's colorless and it's elastic. It can move, right? So they are made of air and fire. We are made of air, fire, earth, and water. Okay? All right. So let's keep going. So right here, he says at the bottom, that second paragraph, and now you magnify yourself, saying that, you're kind of boasting, or you're kind of saying that you're better than him. But he said, I created, if I would have put water and dust in you, then you would have become flesh and blood. And then you would have sinned worse than he did. And he talks about the different components that Adam has in order to judge the world. Okay, he has 5 for good and 5 for evil in order for him to make valid decisions for himself. And I know you're probably like, well, why would he give them anything evil? Here's the thing. The problem that the angels had, these particular angels, they have a problem with Adam. They're coming to the Most High about it. A part of the problem that they had was they felt that, okay, well, we have no choice but to worship you. So why is it that they wanted to rule? So he created another creature that had the right to rule, plus had the option to reject him, just to prove to these other ones, I can do it. I'm not concerned about whether or not they're going to choose me. If they want to choose me, they'll choose me. I would love for all of them to choose me, but if they choose not to choose me, it is their choice to do so. So I'm not making you robots. I'm giving you free will to be able to do what it is that you want to do for your reign or for your downfall. It is your decision at the end of the day. Okay, so we're going to revisit this concept. So the spirits are made of fire and air, and they only have one intent, which is to praise LOI. Whereas man is made of fire and air plus water and earth. So it's the spirit plus clay. Okay? And man has 10 thoughts or intentions, 5 for good, 5 for bad. One of which the intentions would be to praise LOI, because we read previously how Adam said that when he was in the garden, he sang praises all day long, right? All right, let's keep going. Okay, so revisiting this like 4 elements thing, right? So he's made of fire, air, water, and earth. He's made of the 4 elements. And then he is basically, in a nutshell, Adam is a breathed spirit housed in a clay vessel. Okay? And we're going to go over that a little bit more as we go. Okay, so the funny thing is, when I actually kind of processed what Adam was and what he was made of, Captain Planet was the first thing that I thought of. Like, it took me back to my childhood, and I was like, wait a minute. And if you actually look at the intro, he's coming out of the earth, and then all of these different layers come on him. But the last thing that he's given is a heart, and his job is to protect the earth. He's the captain. He is the head. He is the rule. Captain Planet. He's the captain of the planet. And you notice how they gave him green hair? Like when we read in Enoch previously, how his hair was made of the grass. They gave him green hair. And I think I can't remember what his skin was made of. I think we're going to read it again, but we'll keep going. But you get what I mean. All right, let's keep going.
Our powers combine. Earth, fire,
Wind, water,
heart. By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
Okay, so then I considered the fact that Adam is made of all these elements, right? So what if we've been they've been telling us exactly the things that we're capable of, but because we've been cut off from that knowledge because we reject the Father's knowledge, we don't know what it is that we're able to do. So then I thought about, okay, well, where have I seen the four elements before? And then I thought about Avatar: The Last Airbender. So then if you look, each nation is represented by an element. And it's just like, wait a minute, like certain things are actually how it is, but we're not processing it because we've been taught to think a certain way. So I'm going to show some scriptures and then we're going to kind of think about it a little bit differently. We're not going to go into them right now, but we're just going to think about it differently.
Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
So Mark chapter 3, verse 39, and he arose and rebuked the wind. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. If you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, that sounds like airbending. And then Joshua 10:12-13, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, and the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hastened not to go down about the whole day. And then when you think about some of the elements that Adam is made of, it's kind of like, okay, well, what's going on with the sun, moon, and stars that it's responding to? If you know this particular event in scripture, Moses has his hands raised. As long as Moses has his hands raised, he is keeping the sun from going down. And they're winning the battle as long as he can keep his hands raised. Then we're going to jump down to 2 Kings 1:12, and Elijah, and then it says, and the fire of the Most High came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50, talking about the prophets of Jezebel, the prophets of Baal. He called down fire from heaven, which is firebending. And then Numbers 20:8, it says, speak ye to the rock. So this is Moses. And he said, and it shall give forth his water, which one that can be looked at as water bending, as well as it can be control over the things such as rock, because Adam is also made, his bones were made from the rocks. And then Numbers 16:32, and it says, and this is talking about Moses when he was going against the sons of Korah, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them, which sounds like earth bending. And then Matthew 14:29, and it says, and Peter walked on the water to go to Messiah. See, now it'd be different if you just said, okay, well, Messiah's rebuking the winds, Messiah's walking on water. But he gave Peter the capability to do so. And remember, Messiah said, greater miracles than these ye shall do, greater works ye shall do. So part of it is like, I think we kind of misunderstand what faith can do. It's not just about believing he exists, it believes what he is capable of doing through us if we align with his will and his word. Okay, so 2 Enoch 30:12, I created a saying, speech from knowing. I created man from spiritual and from physical nature. From both come his death and life in appearance. And he knows speech like some created thing. He is small in greatness and great in smallness. And I placed him on earth like a second angel, to be honorable, great, and glorious. I appointed him as ruler to rule on the earth and to have my wisdom. And there is none like him on earth of all my existing creatures. So one of the things too, that he is also given his wisdom, like I said, the understanding, the knowledge, but his wisdom is to teach him how to interpret the world around him, the word and the wisdom, right? The wisdom is teaching him how to interpret all of the things around him. I'm not saying it's how it goes, but I'm going to say this. A lot of times we learn from our mothers how to interpret the world around us. And in discipline, when we make a mistake, our Father is the one that comes to correct us. So the word is teaching you how to operate, but the wisdom is teaching you how to operate, but the word is the one that calls you to accountability. Okay? Not saying that they both don't do it, but I'm just saying this is what I'm getting from it. Okay? All right. So he's honorable, great, and glorious like a second angel, because, like we said before, and people try to deify Messiah, but Messiah is the son of Eloi. He is not LOI, but he's made in the image of LOI, just like Adam is made in the image of LOI. So there's a heavenly version, there's an earthly version. Okay? He is ruler of certain things in heaven, and Adam is ruler of certain things on earth. Okay? But the Father, the Most High, is the ruler of them all. So he appointed him as a ruler, meaning he has authority, he has power. The Most High made Adam a king. He made him the king of the earth. Okay, and we're going to keep going. 2nd Enoch 30:13 through 15. And I appointed him a name and made from the four components, from the east, the west, from the south, and from the north. And I appointed for him 4 special stars, and I called his name Adam. And showed him the 2 ways, the light and the darkness. And I told him, this is good and that bad, so that I should learn whether he has love towards me or hatred, so that it will be clear who in his race loves me. For I have seen his nature, but he has not seen his own nature, and therefore by not seeing it, he will sin worse. And I said, after sin, there is nothing but death. So he told Adam on the front end, if you sin, there's nothing but death. But when it says right here, he wants it to be clear who has love or hatred towards him. I'm saying this here and I'm going to say it again. If you have any type of Bible app, there are 2 words that I want you to type in. I want you to type in the word love, and I want you to type in the word command or commandment, and see how many scriptures where love and commandment go hand in hand. Just like Messiah said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Love and commandments go hand in hand. If you tell someone that you love them, but you never do what they ask you to do you really love them? Okay? And he told him 2 ways, the light and the darkness. Now we're going to read Ecclesiastes 17:7 and 8. And they received the use of the 5 operations of the Most High. And in the 6th place, he is imparted understanding. And yes, I didn't mean to put that in there, but it's in here. We're going to read it. Imparted understanding in the 7th speech, and the interpreter of the cogitations thereof, counsel in the tongue and of the eyes and of the ears and hearts, and he gave to them to understand. Withal, he filled them with the knowledge of understanding. So, from your senses and how you're observing and perceiving the world, you're being filled with the knowledge of understanding. And he showed them good and evil. And he set his eye upon their hearts that they might show them the greatness of his works. So he's still looking at the hearts of men to see how man is going to respond. He already knows what you're going to do, but he's looking at the heart to see how you're going to respond. It's your choice how you respond. Okay. So we're going to read this passage again. And I appointed him a name and made him from the 4 components, from east, west, south, north. And I appointed for him 4 special stars and called his name Adam. There are 4 cardinal stars, often referred as the royal stars of Persia. This is just Persia's interpretation of it. But the 4 royal stars, right? Ancient markers for the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, west, and the seasonal equinoxes and solstices, which is how the seasons are separated. Okay. So I guess Aldebaran, it says watcher of the east, and that's the vernal equinox, which is the spring equinox. Regulus, watcher of the north, the summer solstice. Antares, the watcher of the west, autumnal equinox. Formahat, watcher of the south, winter solstice. And we're actually going to use this map again right here, where the east is on the west and the west is on the east. On this particular map, we're going to use this one because it would have been better to their understanding of what it was. So if you see right here, it's saying that the east wind, where it would be, and it's saying that the winter is in the south. Africa is hot. Antarctica is cold, according to what they say. Okay. If I saw a video recently where I told my husband when I was looking at these maps, I was like, most of the times it's not frozen at the bottom. If you look at really old maps, if they even mention Antarctica, and if they even mention Australia, but on those maps, it has it frozen, but it's right near where it's hot. But the south is the north and the north is the south, meaning that Europe is actually at the south where it's cold, which is why it's saying the watcher of the south. According to the Persians, the watcher of the south is the winter solstice. The watcher of the north is summer, where Africa would be, where it would be hot. And then the autumnal equinox is coming from the west part, which is really the east, and then so forth and so on. I know it sounds confusing, but everything is upside down. Okay, so how the Persians have it listed here is more closely to related to how it was. It wasn't until we get to European conquest that the maps start flipping upside down. Okay, all right. So there you go. There's a chart. Okay, so we read previously how Adam was supposed to be a second angel on earth, right? He's made of the components of an angel, but he's housed in a clay body. Okay, he's flesh and blood. Matthew 22:30 through 32. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Eloah in heaven. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read which was spoken unto you by Eloah, saying, I am the Eloah of Abraham, and the Eloah of Isaac, and the Eloah of Jacob. Eloah is not the Eloah of the dead, but of the living. Remember, Adam, the the pronouncement against him was, dying a death you shall die. So he has to be the Eloah of the living, not the dead. And when we talk about the kingship change, I guess in the next one, I'll kind of, I guess, talk about that a little bit more. But of that which is alive. Remember, he was alive. Everything was alive when he was in the garden. Remember, when they ate the fruit, stuff started dying. But he's the Eloah of the living, not the dead. Okay? All right. So let's go right here. 1 Corinthians 15:35 through 50. But some one of you may say, how will the dead arise? With what body will they come forth? Foolish man, the seed which you sow is not resurrected unless it dies. That which you sow, you do not sow the body that is to be, but the naked kernel of wheat or barley or of other grains, and Elohim gives it a body according to his will, and to each of the grains its natural body, and every body is not alike. For the man of the body is one thing, and that of beast is another, and that of the bird is another, and that of the fish is another. And there are bodies celestial and terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial bodies is one, and the terrestrial another is another. And the glory of the sun is one thing, and the glory of the moon is another, and the glory of the stars is another, and one star exceeds another star in glory. It is, so it is also with the resurrection of the dead. They are sown in corruption, and they arise without corruption. And they are sown in dishonor, and arise in glory. And they are sown in weakness, and arise in power. And sown in an animal or natural body, and arises in a spiritual body. For there is a body of the animal or natural life, and there is a body of the spirit. So also it is written, Adam the first man became a living soul, and the second Adam became a resurrecting spirit. And the spiritual was not first, but the animal or the natural. Then the spiritual, and the first man was of dust from the earth, and the second man was Master Yah from heaven. Okay, here's the thing. Remember, Messiah said that in the resurrection, they're going to be like the angels. They're not going to have the corrupted body. Remember, Paul said right here, when you put the seed in the ground, the outside layer dies off, and what grows out is not what you put in the ground. It doesn't look the same. So the seed that you put in the ground is not the same thing that comes up. It sheds off the old shell. Like if you put a sunflower seed in the ground, that shell doesn't still stay attached to that plant as the plant grows. A new creature, a new plant comes out of that shell. The seed that's inside of it is the same. Just like the spirit is housed inside the body of the clay body, it's the same thing with the seeds. The clay body is equivalent to the shell on the outside of the sunflower, and then the meat, the nut on the inside, the meat of the seed is what the new body grows into from what was planted into the ground. So because Adam sinned, in his nature, his body is now corrupted. He's still made to look like the Most High, but the very image of his glory in his nature and his likeness has been corrupted. It's not the same. So he has to have a new body. He has to have a new way of living, a new way of thinking, he has to become a new creature. Okay? All right, keep going. 2 Corinthians 4, 1 through 7. Therefore, seeing that we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of Yah deceitfully, but by manifestation of truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of Elohim. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid from them that are lost, in whom the power of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Messiah, who is the image of Eloi, should shine unto them. For we preach not ourselves, but Messiah, the word, the master, and ourselves, your servants, for Messiah's sake. For Eloi, who commanded the light to shine out of the darkness, have shined in our hearts and give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of Eloi in the face of Messiah. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Eloi and not of us. So he's saying that we're not dealing in dishonesty and craftiness and deceit, especially when it comes to the word of Yah, but in truth, the manifestation of the truth in the conscience of the sight of LOI. And we talked about what a conscience is how you're judging the situation, right? But they're saying we're going to operate in truth and judge the situation in truth and in righteousness. The people who cannot understand and are blinded are the people who are falling prey to the power of this world, which operates in dishonesty, craftiness, and deceit. But the light that we have, so the treasure inside the earthen vessel, is the knowledge of his glory, the knowledge of his truth, the truth in his word, and the excellency of the power that may become manifest within us because we're following the way that he has set out for us to make. Okay, so we're going to stop there, and there's going to be one more. And I thank y'all for thugging it out with